Hello, I'm Kent Sangster, the artistic director and producer of the TD Edmonton International Jazz Festival. Today we are featuring an interview and performance by Julian Lage, multiple Grammy-nominated guitarist who is on the forefront of modern jazz guitar. We hope you enjoy this online experience. Thank you for tuning in. We're fortunate to be joined by the great guitarist Julian Lage, who was scheduled to appear at the 2020 TD Edmonton International Jazz Festival live, but due to current situations, we have to improvise with that idea, and we've got an online offering coming up for you. And so we just like to get a little insight to Julian and his music before we get to the music. So, Julian, my first question would be, what inspired you initially to get into music? How did you start?
Oh, I started because my father played guitar. He still does every so often
Okay.
when there's a guitar around. But he started about, I want to say, about a year before I did. I'm the youngest of five children, so everyone kind of had their thing. So by the time I was around, I think I was looking for something I could do that was fun and kind of specific. And I saw how much joy playing the guitar brought my father, and I think on some subliminal level, I just thought I want to do it because he's happy. As I got into it, I was a blues obsessed kid. All I wanted
Okay.
to do was play blues guitar, and frankly, not much has changed. But at the time, that was what my father and I were both looking at a lot. And then that kind of evolved into being a student of jazz. But it's just for familial reasons that I got into it.
Fascinating, and that's great that you would have that relationship with your dad. Well, that kind of segues into the next question, which who would you consider, some of your main influences as a guitarist? And when I listen to your music, I know that there's a wide variety of influences, but the blues is kind of there's a core there.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, the blues for, it's the guitar too. It's like the
Right.
guitar is native to that world of music. I would say as far as influences, early on it was Muddy Waters, T-Bone Walker, you know, Buddy Guy, Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Just that was everything. And it
Right.
still is, like I said, in many respects. And when I was a little further down the road with studying jazz, quickly it became Jim Hall. Jim Hall, and
Hmm.
I was very fortunate to know Jim really well. We played a lot of music together towards the end of his life, and yeah, to this day, that's the top of Mount Everest. That's the ultimate, and a large part of Jim's disposition, which I think is uh, how would you say it? I don't want to say available, but what I think a lot of people can see Jim possesses is this sense of modernity. It's like it's really modern music, even if it's from the 50s. It feels like it was made tomorrow. And then there's also a sense of humor, a sense of space, a sense of deep interaction amongst the musicians. It's always very listening driven. So, because of those qualities, I'd say Jim's the main cat for me. Now, of course, in addition to that, there's so many. Abercrombie, Ralph Towner, Metheny, Wes Montgomery, Jimmy Rainey, Oscar Aleman, Django, Eddie Lang, all the Oscar Moore, so many great players. So I'm a nerd for this stuff, I've always felt very supported by the family tree of guitar, and I'm discovering new people all the time, frankly.
Wonderful. One thing that has struck me about your music when I've listened to it is, and this is a sign of your, I guess, the musical scope that you may have got from Jim Hall, is that your sense of space
Hmm.
and melody, but space is it's a wonderful thing for me. And
Yeah, it's a worthwhile pursuit. I'm very humbled by it. I can always leave more. That's what I feel.
right, well, it works for me for sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Um, so with that, how from the time that you got into jazz and seeing that you have such eclectic taste, how do you see that jazz has evolved, or how is it evolving?
Wow, that's a great
Maybe
question.
for you, maybe I guess would be
Yeah, yeah. Well, In my experience as a student of the music, there's a lot of projecting that goes on. I hear music from the past, and I assume, or I come up with an image, and I say, well, this must be what they were thinking, because this is what I would have been thinking.
Yeah.
And it's with great humility that I realize I might be way off. I might not. I might have misdiagnosed the whole thing. But one thing that I sense is that as the form was kind of burgeoning and growing, I think there was a freedom that was really accessed by a lot of the great players. Even back, to Eddie Lang and Big Spider back all the way, obviously through the, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way up. This sense of liberty in the music. This is a music that is about transcending. This is a music where freedom and spirit and all of those qualities can really reside. And at a certain point, I guess you could say in each decade, there are these kind of markers where things get kind of conservative a little bit. And then, and that's okay, it's great, it's necessary. And then what follows that is the next kind of renaissance, where things open up again and things are tried that maybe wouldn't have fit the model of the previous decade or the previous 5 years of that decade. So where we are now, I think we're kind of an interesting spot because we very much are at the turn of the century. We're at a place where there has been so much great music created in the family of jazz, and there have been certain things that have kind of codified. Well, here's a sub style. I don't mean sub as in quality. I just mean under the umbrella of jazz. And I think we're right on the cusp of things getting a little more free again, out of necessity, and then saying, no, this is a music that celebrates that.
Hmm.
And I'm seeing contemporaries of mine do it beautifully, and obviously the elders are teaching us all the time what that's about. So it's a roller coaster, and that's how I see the trajectory of it.
Well, that's a fantastic answer. So what's on your playlist? What's on your current
Well,
kind
there's
of,
one record that I have been obsessed with more than ever, which is Sonny Rollins live at the Village Vanguard. That
Mhm.
record, with two trios. But
Yep.
and I heard it growing up, I know, but for some reason, since the quarantine started and whatnot, in recent months, it's my daily thing, and I play along with the record and I comp for it and just try to get into that feeling. There's also there were two records that Keith Jarrett and Charlie Hayden made on ECM before um, Charlie passed away, and the one I've been listening to the most is called Jasmine, Jasmine. Beautiful collection of standards, and the way those guys play together is just, killing. So those have been two big ones. And then Solo Monk, that's the record that I've been had on, specifically the original version of Dinah and the alternate take of Dinah. Um, so yeah, I'm just going to the source.
Masters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great. Just a few more questions. Do you have any kind of pre-concert ritual that you go through?
It's a great question. Um, Not really. Mostly it's just, sit still for a second, you know. Usually
Hmm.
leading up to shows, as you know, it's like if you want to, you can be working till the last second, but it's nice to take a moment and take stock of things. Earlier on, I think I would have warm-up routines. I may very well return to that, God willing, someday, where I'd practice Bach preludes, classical guitar related just for the warm-up. There was a time where I used to do Qigong, kind of like things related to Tai Chi to just help with circulation and movement and flow. But at least the last time I did a gig, which was a while ago, it was just kind of turn the phone off, sit still, and go have fun.
Right. Okay. Do you what's next for Julian Lage? If all things being equal, and when we're back playing, what's the next project you have in mind?
Well, we're making a new record as a trio. We're
Great.
making a record. That's this was slated for the beginning of the year, and it got postponed. Actually, not because of the pandemic, but for other reasons. And then the pandemic kind of helped it stay postponed. But this fall, we'll be working on that. it's a new body of music. It's kind of an evolution of our last record, which was basically all covers. This will be original music, and that has been a big focus. Also, a project I have with an incredible guitarist named Chris Eldridge. We have a long-standing duo that's more in the bluegrass improvised world, and we're aiming to, if not perform this year, record something together and kind of further that effort. And then I've been hosting these town hall master classes, which have been incredible for the guitar community. And we've only done a few, but it's amazing. We have hundreds of people come together from all around the world, and we kind of just present the stuff we're working on and celebrate it and talk about it. And I have to say that's been rejuvenating for me, just to feel connected. So
And give you the outlet, give you an outlet.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And just one last thing about music specifically is, could you give us some insight into your compositional process? Like, how do you go about writing a tune?
Oh, I have no idea. I yeah, it's composition is so funny. I think for a lot of people, it's one of those things that's kind of, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? If you think you can't write, you can't write. If you think everything you write is just not very good, it's not very good. So as a regiment, first is to make time for it consistently.
Okay.
Two is, upon showing up, try to get as much on the paper or on a recording if I'm improvising to play with ideas. Get as much out before the editing or the censorship begins. That's two. And then I say a third part of that is just not forgetting about the power of arranging. If that makes sense. For many years I wrote and I'd say, well, it's not good. It's not. And later on I'd look back and go, I just never arranged it. I never had a game plan. The themes were fine. The chords were fine. But and with this new band, I've got a lot of what that entails is a minimalist approach to arranging. So here's the song, but I'd be happy if we use this much content and spent the rest of the time improvising. So regularity, getting it all out on the page, cultivating it after the fact. Those are kind of the principles. And then beyond that, it's all pretty much done at the guitar. I used to study piano, and I'm terrible. I forgot whatever I did know about it during college. And so I'm a sucker for recording myself playing guitar a lot. So I just go through them, and then I transcribe whatever I think is good.
Oh, that's very, very good advice. Very helpful. I just want to say, well, thank you, Julian, for your time and insight into your wonderful music and music career. Now let's get on with the music.
Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Hello, this is Julian Lage, and I am here today to perform some music for you as part of the TD Edmonton International Jazz Festival. This is one of the great festivals in the world for this music that we love so dearly. And I'm so honored to be involved in it in any way possible. I want to play you a few songs from the repertoire we've been playing over the last couple years. The first is a tune I actually wrote many years ago for solo acoustic guitar. And then over time it kind of evolved into becoming a staple of the electric trio set that my band does. This is a song called Lullaby. Thank you all so much for joining us. it's so fun. So I started with Lullaby, and I went into another tune of mine called Booze Blues, and which is kind of a variation, I guess, on a 12-bar blues, a blues with a bridge. God, it's fun to play the guitar. It's so hip to get to do this and to do it for all of you. I want to acknowledge that there are so many people who make any festival happen in any part of the world, but in my experience, having the privilege of coming to the TD Jazz Festivals throughout Canada and to be just a part of that infrastructure, it's just incredible how many people come together to make it a wonderful experience. So this is just a thank you to everybody, the sponsors, the organizers, the audiences that are part of this. It's truly, you know, the highest level in the entire world. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for that. I think I'm going to play you an old song now. I'll play you an old standard, one that I learned many years ago from watching Jim Hall play it and listening to him play it on record. Great song, I'm Getting Sentimental Over You. Here we go. Wow, isn't that a great song? God, it's so it's just so incredible how those old songs are these catalysts for such exploration, you know, just constantly fresh. And yeah, what a joy. To all of you listening and watching, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to let it be right there. Leave it on that note. Again, a big thank you to the TD Edmonton International Jazz Festival. What a privilege. I know I keep saying it, but it's the truth. It's an honor to be a part of this incredible community that we share, celebrating this music that is so true and so dear to all of us. And I just send you all the love in the world and gratitude from the bottom of my heart. And take it forth. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Thank you, everybody. Julian Lage here. See you next time. Bye.
The TD Edmonton International Jazz Festival would like to thank Julian Lage for sharing such a wonderful performance with us today. Please visit edmontonjazz.com for more of your jazz online experiences.